jamming it with Paint Your Body.
Alright, we got another paint job here. It's very small. It's a very short, tight blend on a Subaru Forester. There's nothing special about this job, but I did want to show it because just how small the area is to blend it. So we're going to give this a whack and we're going to see how it comes out. So just take a quick look here. The primer goes about 50 to 60% of the way across the panel. Generally, you would probably want to be blending into the door, but that's not the case on this car, so we're just going to take care of this the way it is. Alright.
This is a pretty quick, short little video, but it turned into being actually really informative in the end. So it's a short blend, and there's something else, a little bit of a twist to it. But I'm going to let that play out, so let's just follow along and see how this goes. I'm going to spray my sealer on right now, do a little test pattern on the plastic, and then just start applying. You have to keep it tight though, because this is what's kind of called like a short blend. Really, really tight area. It's important to keep the sealer, especially the sealer and definitely the color, away from the edge of the door or the end of the fender close to the door.
Ran into a little bit of a problem here with this fender. There was pinholes in the primer, so I noticed it in the sealer, so I had to stop, throw the heat light on it for a few minutes, and now I'm going to wet sand it out smooth, and we'll see how it looks.
Yeah, take a look at that. I hate when something like that happens, but you know what? Every paint job doesn't go perfect, and this is a really good chance to show this. I took a couple photos. You might not be able to see that well. I wound up putting the heat lamp on this instead of baking it in the booth for about 10-15 minutes or so until it was pretty well set up. And then I wet sanded it with 400. And then I got it out pretty good. Like, you couldn't really see anything in there. It looked smooth. It looked the way it should with just spraying sealer on top of the primer and moving on. Honestly, pinholes happen sometimes. That was a really bad case, to be honest and realistic. That doesn't happen much. Sometimes you see, you know, one or two or a couple stray pinholes here and there. But that was a really bad case. I'm not sure what happened. You know, something, you know, it's possible that a lot of pinholes got primed over in the bodywork. It's hard for me to say, but it was pinholes. So I got them taken care of. Right now what I'm spraying, and it's transparent and it's clear. It looks like clear. Wow, what are you spraying, clear? No, this is called 222. It's mid-coat adhesion promoter. You know, I use this on silvers and golds and other tough colors, and because of this area, I use it as well. It's basically like a wet bed, or, you know, you spray that over the area, and that helps to fill in any prep scratches that were used, or that that would show after prepping it. Even though you're using, you know, a gray Scotch Brite or 1000 grit or 800 grit, whatever. Certain colors are going to show these scratches, even though they're very fine, but the way the metallics and the base coat lands on the panel, you might cover up the primer area or the repair area very easily and very well. But on the blends where there's not as much material, it's very light, the metallics and the base coat is going to sit in those scratches and reflect light differently, which is going to still show the scratch. So that 222 mid-coat adhesion promoter, that's why I use that in this case. And then I wound up spraying it over the sealer and everything just to help out in case there's any stray scratches or anything. So I just finished my first coat of base, make sure I'm getting the edges and everything else. Basically, the big highlight here is look at the tape at the edge of the fender where I masked off the door. There's literally no base coat there. And that's important because this is a really tight blend when it comes to blends, and it's so important to try to keep that color away from the door, away from the A-pillar up there, and just keep it as close as I can to the primer area. That way I'm not throwing off the color against the door. The color match was pretty good, but it was not a panel paint color match. It would have never matched 100% if I painted or base coated the entire panel. So I wrapped up doing my base coat. Everything looked good. I tacked it off in between base coat and clear coat. That didn't get shown, but now I'm hammering on the first coat of clear. And at this stage, the pinholes are gone. The base coat covered really good. The primer spot isn't visible anymore. I kept the base coat away from the A-pillar, the door, as best I could, and tried to keep it small. Second coat of clear now. Do the old touch test, make sure I'm not pulling any strings off, strings of clear. And pretty much this is wrapping it up now. But this is a short video, and it was really meant to show how to do a real tight blend in a short area. And it wound up turning into doing a tight blend and pinholes popping out all over the place. I could have stopped, pulled the car out of the booth, had the body man look at it. Sometimes you have to fix things on the fly, and I run into problems all the time, and honestly, it's probably good to show that in the videos because that's real life. Here's a shot. It was a rainy day, so the sun isn't the best, but here's a shot. Here's another shot of the car. I'm really pleased with the color match. The pinholes were gone, and it looked awesome.